One thing I learned from Peter one time: never deny. Tempted to catch amnesia sometimes. Never deny. Even when my faith will come a cry, I'll never deny. When I confess, I put my neck on the line. I'll never deny.
Welcome to Truth Prevails. Today's episode is another conversation with a prideful Jehovah Witness. And in this conversation, I do what I think us Christians should do when we see these Jehovah Witnesses and try to make them actually prove and fact check what they're saying and prove out what they're saying, because if the society says something, the organization says something, they just believe it and run with it, and that's a bad thing to do. And it shows that they have blind faith and they just run without researching it. So as I walk these Jehovah Witnesses through a line of questioning, I'm trying to make him understand his blind faith. So like, comment, and share. I'm going to do a little reaction as we're going through it and pause it a little bit, and just let me know what you think.
Take it out of their Bibles and put something else. My point is that, and again, it's a rhetorical question, I'm not asking you, but as we look at this translation or any translation that doesn't have God's name in all the places where it originally was there, you got to ask why. And some will tell you, some Bible translators will tell you, we don't believe it's accurate. We don't think, one Bible translation says it's totally inappropriate to use God's name. That's kind of funny, because that's not how Jesus felt. In telling his followers how to pray, he said, hallowed or holy or sanctified be your name. Some Bible translations say, may we always keep your name holy. May we always hold your name in high esteem. So the idea behind Jesus and what he taught was not that we would hide or not use God's name. That's absolutely not what he taught.
So the first thing is, does the name Jehovah, as they say it, exist in the manuscripts that they use? It doesn't. I'm going to post a picture where in the appendix it tells you that when they made these changes, it was not there. The Bible committee decided for themselves that they were going to insert this. The same Bible committee, we can't find out who was on. And thank you for one of my subscribers that named the list of the people that were in it from the Crisis of Conscience book. I think that was released. So thank you for that. But that is that cockiness and that blind faith to say that they have it right, which is wrong. And I'm going to have a video coming when I question a Jehovah's Witness about this. So this is where I start to ask him these questions. Is this a scholarly Bible? And he said, scholars agree with it. Now, I could do a video, I could probably point you to a video where they take scholars out of context and try to say they agree with it when they really don't agree with it. And I think I had another video where I went through that, where many scholars say it's a gross translation that's not respected. I have a chart with all the translations and when they were written and who they was written by, and it gives you an example verse. And when Jehovah's Witness was mad because they didn't have the New World Translation on it, it's not a scholarly Bible. So let's keep going. Would you consider the New World Translation a scholarly Bible?
Absolutely.
You would?
Absolutely. And scholars have said as much from outside our organization. And you'll have those who are opposed who say, no, it's not. You have to make up your own mind.
Was it translated by scholars inside the organization, or did they request help from outside scholars?
How about if you answer that question? Because I think you're asking a question you already know.
I'm guessing it would be inside the organization?
That's correct.
Now,
using translations that were already in existence, such as the Hort, Prescott and Hort translations. Using those translations that had God's name in it already, and by going back to the original Septuagint version, the version we talked about earlier.
Yep.
Okay, which the Septuagint version the Greek translation of the original Hebrew text, because now think back in Jesus' day, okay? Jesus, it says in the book, in what is in Luke, in a couple of Gospels, that he went into the temple and picked up the account from Isaiah and read. Okay, so these manuscripts are already translated. Okay, he's not reading in Hebrew; he's reading in Greek. Matthew translates into Greek. Okay, these are translations that these people are already using, because although they're Hebrews, Greek is the language of the day. Just like all over the world, pretty much English is the language of the day today, for the most part. It's the language that people deal with each other in. Back then, it was Greek. So they had to take the Hebrew text and translate it into Greek. Okay, the Greek translation that they were using, that's a matter of history. That's not, we don't have to guess, or that's what you think. They were using the Septuagint version. We have copies. Copies still exist of the Septuagint, and it had God's name in it.
So I find it funny when he's talking about the translation that they use, and thanks again, because for my last video, one of the subscribers commented and gave me a video of, there was a gentleman that was talking about which translation that they use and how they got someone to agree with John 1:1, and it was Joannes the Grieber guy, where he's a satanic guy, and they're using these translations just to find someone that agrees with them. And this is where they kind of had to backtrack and say, okay, we believe that he was actually hearing from God, but his wife was a medium for the spirit world. And this is the translations they had to use to render the New World Translation for it to agree with what they believe in their doctrine. So he's lying. It's not like they went out and found multiple translations that actually agreed with what they're saying. They found one, and then they tried to see with the Catholic priests. Catholics aren't even saved. They're doing this thing that's not in the Bible. There's no Pope in the Bible. Mary they're not sinless. When you do the Lord's Supper, that's not Jesus dying again. So, to use someone like that, and they don't even believe Catholics are saved. So to use someone outside of the organization was really desperate for them to really do this.
I know where you're going with this, okay? Basically, what kind of education did they have? Did they have a worldly education? I don't know, because I don't know these men. I didn't know these men. I don't know where they came from. A lot of them actually did have incredible educations before they became Jehovah's Witnesses, before they got involved in these things. One of our presidents from decades and decades ago could speak fluently in 20, 30 languages. He probably didn't learn that on his own, but I don't know. Okay, he could recite almost the entire Bible from memory.
There's someone that translated the Bible?
No, this was done by a committee of men. It wasn't done by a man.
Okay.
But you're getting off on a point that's kind of irrelevant, to be honest with you, because although we believe that this is a scholarly translation, and there are those outside the organization who have said absolutely it is, that's neither here nor there.
So people that have studied this religion know who he's talking about, and that's that president, Frederick France. Correct me if I'm wrong. And we already know when he went to court, he could not speak it. He couldn't read it. He was not a scholar in the language. So he's saying he can read the whole Bible and doing all this. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And this is someone that seems so intelligent that you would think he did that research. But this is someone that's just blind faith, that's just receiving what the organization is giving him and just spitting it back out. And then he mentions that this is not important, when they are the ones that bash every other translation. If it wasn't so important, why did you have to make your own translation? If I can just use any translation, and I didn't need yours, but you don't trust them. You think every other one was corrupted. So this is important.
I would encourage
you would agree that
I-
you would agree that the Bible it was translated by scholars, correct?
in most cases, I guess.
No, like the New World Translation was translated.
Depends on how you use the word
the
scholar. I'm not going to define the term. Okay,
But-
however you want to define the term is fine.
Let me get the definition of what. I just want to be clear.
Someone that knows the Bible? Someone that studies the Bible? A Bible scholar?
Was Matthew a scholar?
Was Matthew? No.
But he translated.
Translated or wrote?
Oh,
Where did he translate?
I think he was involved in some of the original translations in the Greek, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken.
Well, I don't know.
But
A scholar means a person who attends a school or studies under a teacher, a person who has done advanced study in a special field, or a person, or a learned person, a holder of a scholarship. So from those
there
definitions,
were no scholarships in those days when this was written.
there were people that because they were strict. You know, there was to be able to translate the Bible, there were strict requirements. Not just anyone could just translate. That's what I was saying with the New World Translation. On that committee, were there scholars?
I'm sure they were.
I couldn't answer you, but I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what kind of education these men had. I haven't studied these men. I've studied the Bible.
All right, that's what I'm saying. Because every other translation, you can look up all the scholars that were on that committee. That's how I was just. If you could, can you give me the list of the men that were on the committee?
It was done anonymously. There's
Yeah, they
nobody
don't-
that can do that.
Yeah, they didn't sign their name to it.
So you
It
wouldn't.
was
even,
a whole group of people.
So you wouldn't even know if there was a scholar or not.
No.
So the New World
need to
Translation,
know.
there's a possibility that it could have been done by people that weren't even scholars.
Could be.
And this was done at the headquarters, from the people from the headquarters, correct?
Yep.
All right. This question.
No. Yeah. But do you think that we can learn the truth from the Bible?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's where, because we was looking
Yeah.
at the when we was talking about Matthew about eternal punishment.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and we clearly saw that there was a different word that in the Greek wasn't supposed to be there.
There was a word that is only used in the New World Translation that is not used in any of the other translations. I can't remember.
It was
exactly.
looping off, and then we
Oh,
saw
yeah.
every other
Looping
translation.
off.
Yeah,
What's that translated? What
it
scripture
was
was
punishment. Punishment. It was
Punishment.
Matthew 25:46. So every other translation that was done by scholars rendered the word different, and the New World Translation didn't. And now there could be a possibility it wasn't even done by scholars. Just a food for thought. So, okay, that's
These will
fine.
depart into everlasting cutting off, but the righteous ones into everlasting life. Is that the verse?
Yes.
And Ryan was saying how that means punishment. Was that what it
Yeah,
was?
if you render it right from the
it meant torment.
punishment, when the punishment meant
Torment's
torment.
a different word. Let's not go in.
No, it's not.
Hmm?
No, it's not. It's
Sure
the
it
same
is.
word.
Torment in the original Greek could also mean jailers or being in jail.
Yeah,
So it's a little bit of a different connotation.
but the word it should have been rendered eternal punishment, and the definition of punishment was penal infliction, punishment and torment. If you look it up in the Greek.
And so what's your point?
Because every other translation, every single translation rendered it punishment. That was done by scholars where you can just Google search the committee and you find the names of it. And then the New World Translation rendered it looping off. And I was asking, we was asking why did it render that when if you wrote it by the Greek, if you actually went through by the translation, you wouldn't have put that word there. So it was like, why was that word changed? And then we saw it
In
was
the
changed.
Hebrew language, okay, the Hebrew language, and I don't know, I don't even know if I could find this or not. In the Hebrew language, where was it used? It was used and put away from, done out from their family. Okay, today, that's almost in society in general. That's not a big deal. All right, you don't want me to come here, I'll just go somewhere else. I'll move to another neighborhood. I'll make my own family. I'll have friends. It's not like that in that culture. If you're out of that culture, you've been taught your entire life as a Hebrew, as a Jew, I'm not supposed to have contact with the people of the nations or the Gentiles. I don't have, under the Mosaic law, intermarriage was forbidden. You didn't worship their gods. You didn't go to their churches. You had nothing to do with them. Nothing. Okay? Those who did, such as in the book of Numbers, were cut off. They were put to death. Okay? So again, what is the original word there? I'm not really sure. I can find it in Greek for you.
Yeah, if you find it in Greek, it means punishment. And Jesus is talking about the final judgment here. So he's talking about what's going to happen.
Matthew 25?
Yep, the final judgment.
Right, I'm gonna have to say we.
Yeah.
Have to stop.
What's up? Yeah,
No, because
So once again, I'll just show you that, in fact, check what I said about the punishment thing. If we come here and look at Matthew 25:46, this is the verse, and these shall go into everlasting punishment, but the righteous into life eternal. So it's showing that there's going to be two classes. You know, Jehovah's Witness tells you there's going to be three classes. And they have it's so crazy. They have, and now I heard a Jehovah's Witness tell me that there's a group that's called, basically, it's the righteous and the unrighteous, and the people that just were naive, that didn't know, that didn't hear, that's going to have another chance to hear the gospel. That's not what Jesus said. Jesus tells you there's two groups. It's everlasting punishment, which is tell you everlasting is not going to end, and it's punishment. And then you have the righteous that go into, life. And the word punishment is talking about, punishment, penal, torment. So when he's saying torment, it's another word. Right here is talking about penal, of like infliction. Something's going to happen. They're going to feel. This is what hell is. So they have to change it to make hell seem not real. And this is where they make some change that changes the whole context of what the passage is trying to say. And when we look at the Greek, with this Jehovah's Witnesses keeps going back to, it doesn't line up with what he's saying. So as I question these Jehovah's Witnesses, I just see blind faith. When you actually press them for answers for what they truly believe in and how they came to these answers, they don't have the research done. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to live like that. Leave this translation. Leave it alone. Leave the organization. Leave the cult. Be free. You don't have to leave these men that change their mind. Truth doesn't change. 2 + 2 never changes. Truth is absolute. In the organization, truth is not absolute, which means down the line it can change. So God's lying to you and letting you believe it. If you're a Jehovah's Witness, you don't have to believe that. They're robbing you of your freedom. They're robbing you of your joy. They're robbing you of your peace. And they're going to rob you for your soul. And it's because you are not doing the research God is telling you to do. You were not searching his word. But sometimes you can smack a Jehovah's Witness in the face with the truth and then find a way. If you need proof, look at my last video. I made it so clear and showing you guys. And some Jehovah's Witnesses in the comments were still trying to say I was wrong. So like, comment, and share. I'm always here for you if you want to talk. Leave a comment, listen, and God bless.